You're listening to From Find a Fabulous podcast, where we explore energy, mindset, spirituality, and all things woo. I'm Michelle, here with Dylan and Wright, and together we are on this journey with all of you to transform our lives from mundane to magical. Hello. Welcome to a new episode.
Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Welcome back.
so glad to be here, even though it's a 40-minute drive.
But we made it. We made it safely.
Yep.
Nice. Well, today I thought we would talk about mistakes
Oh,
and what we feel are maybe some mistakes that we've made in our lives.
investing.
Investment mistakes.
Yeah, investing. I said investment and investing at the same time, and it came out as investing.
Okay. All right. How about you, Wright? Can you think of anything?
I can think of a lot. I can definitely say I've made some mistakes in my life. I've had to learn from them, but I don't think that I'm too hard on myself now about it, where before I was.
I think that's really interesting that you say that you learn from them, because I would say I am of the opinion that there are no mistakes. That
Oh, what?
we cannot make a mistake.
I make mistakes all the time.
Like what?
Like not buying Bitcoin in 2009
Because
because I'd be rich now.
and so when you
I guess it's just a missed opportunity.
But you wouldn't be sitting here with us if you did.
As much as I like sitting here with y'all, I would still want to sit with y'all, but in like my high-rise building apartment.
That's fair.
in a
And,
real
like,
recording studio
Yeah,
instead of crammed into a bedroom.
that's
One
true
day,
too. It's a
one
very
day.
nice bedroom though. Very nice bedroom. No, but all kidding aside, I think the only mistake I made was, or not mistake I made was just time. Not utilizing my time in my youth. I read a quote and it said, "Youth is wasted on the young," because you don't realize you have youth until later. I mean, I'm
So
sure
you don't
somebody
have it
people do.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm sure some people realize it when they're young and they capitalize on that, like the valedictorians in high school and the networking in college and stuff, but I wasn't thinking of any of that when I was young.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Yeah. So that's my biggest, like, I guess, regret or mistake.
I'll probably date myself, but my first thought when you said that was thinking of Bob Ross' quote, "There are no mistakes, only happy little incidents."
Oh yeah, happy little accidents in your painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But let's think of our lives as a painting, right? So yeah, if we have these happy little accidents or incidents in our painting of our life, then that's even more fantastic. Because when you think about making a mistake or some significant thing in your life that you constantly replay over and over in your head about, well, I wish I had done it this way, or what if I had done that, or what would the outcome have been if I had chosen this? When you're thinking like that, like, how does that make you feel?
Regretful?
Yeah, regret.
Guilty.
Guilt, shame, like a loser. All those kinds of things come up when we have those dialogues with ourselves and when we ruminate about the things that we view as mistakes. So, and when we're feeling like that, when we're feeling shame or we're feeling guilty or we're feeling regret, think about, what kind of energy that is putting out for yourself. How likely are you to go out and try to conquer the world when you're feeling like that?
If my space-time around me is messed up, then, it just ripples out into the rest of space-time.
Exactly.
That's how I look at it.
And to everybody else.
Yeah.
for that matter.
Because, like, yeah, I mean, it's all connected. Like, we have evidence of everything literally being connected by a fabric.
Right. And isn't that a crazy idea? Like, think about yourself.
Yeah.
Just your one little human being body
Yeah.
in this whole universe.
Mm-hmm.
And what you are experiencing in terms of your energy, your frequency, or whatever, is what you are contributing to the world.
The
That's your
universe.
contribution
Yeah.
in every moment.
Mm-hmm.
And because we are all the same and we are all part of the same stuff, it has an effect. So imagine all of the people in the world who are sitting there day after day ruminating on all the bad choices they made.
Well, you just sit there and become very unproductive
Yeah.
and not pleasant to be around.
Not pleasant to be around, not being productive, not making a difference or a change in their own lives or in the whole world, because that's the energy that they are putting out there for the rest of the collective to react to, respond to, absorb, all of that. So, what if we could change that belief about the mistake? What if it's not a mistake? What if it's a learning experience? What if it's a stepping stone into the next best thing? What if it's maybe it can just be a stumbling block or a speed bump, right? You're going to get over it. Maybe it's going to slow you down a little bit, but what can you gain from it? So, what if we can, instead of ruminating on the bad choice and how it makes us ashamed and guilty and all of those things, what if we could look at it in a different way and say, okay, well, what's the jewel in this?
What's the lesson learned?
What's the lesson? What's the little nugget of goodness that I can take from this that's going to help propel me into my next best thing?
That's tough.
Yeah, it
Especially
is
in the
tough.
moment.
Yes.
Because I just want to be upset.
And that's fair. And you have every right to be upset.
Yeah.
I think the key is, though, how long? Because some people will spend lifetimes ruminating about the same thing that they view as a mistake.
Yeah.
Think about it as like, I don't know, just an example. Maybe it was a relationship and you stayed in this relationship for, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years.
Wow.
You just kept thinking, oh, it's going to get better. I'm going to be able to make it work. I'm going to, it's going to be.
After 30 years?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So then can you imagine how you feel after that long of a time and it not working?
Yeah.
Kind of like ugh.
Well,
Why did I waste my time?
Well, what if you like built something with somebody and it's like you don't want to let that crumble, so you like make ends meet them halfway. Maybe you're not like happy in the relationship, but you got like kids and stuff, and maybe you have a business together.
Well, I don't know.
That sounds like a whole
How much is your health, your happiness, your well-being worth just settling for mediocre to make it work instead of experiencing pure bliss, joy, peace, excitement, adventure with the right person? So by you just settling for mediocre just to make it through, because you have all these things, you're creating a prison for yourself, creating a prison of this is good enough. This is good enough. But what else is out there? What if it's even better? What if it's more than just good enough? What if it's more than mediocre? What if it's more than just getting by? And if you don't allow yourself to look at that, Are you missing out?
Yeah.
So from that experience of that relationship where you decided to stay for all the reasons, which there's so many reasons, we've all done it for, maybe not 30 years. Okay. Maybe that was pushing it. But, any period of time,
Yeah.
we've all done it. And for whatever the reasons are, it could be because you're afraid you can't make it on your own. It could be for the kids. It could be for, like you said, you have a business together and it's the way you make money. It could be for any reason. But if you decide to stay and you're settling, are you being true to yourself?
No. Ultimately, no, but
Yeah. So if we can
the
just
world's complicated.
right. And some people then will beat themselves up over that situation because they stayed and they stayed and they stayed and they
Yeah.
stayed and they stayed. And then they start looking at it where it's like, oh my gosh, I wasted so much time.
Right.
Oh
It's
my
like
gosh, why did I do that?
when a guy buys like a sports car in his 40s because he feels like he missed out or something.
Midlife
crisis. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
oh God, I gotta get this Corvette.
Yeah.
And he doesn't realize Corvettes aren't even cool anymore.
Yeah. So if we can just, instead of beating ourselves up over it
Yeah.
and just feeling the shame and the guilt and all the things, but look for, what did I learn from that? What can I take from that situation that's going to help me thrive going forward?
I think I've gotten better, as far as not dwelling on the past as much. I think the biggest challenge for me today is the quote unquote mistakes that I made, how they affected other people.
That's a good one.
Because, for me, I'm here, I made it, we're good to go. But I'm trying to navigate that piece.
That's a good one. But again, you have to think about all of the decisions and choices that you made at any particular time. You made with the consciousness that you had, the tools that you had, the awareness that you had, the spiritual level you were at, whatever, in that moment. There's nobody on this earth, I believe, who ever sets out to go, oh, today I'm going to ruin some lives.
I disagree.
Really?
I think I know a lot of people like that from where I grew up. They're just negative people.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. There
Like
are negative
people are they wake up in the morning, they're like, okay, we're gonna go break into this house and take their stuff.
But
But I don't think they can see past that too. Like they're not people that can be necessarily rehabilitated.
I think I think you're right. I think there probably are people who do that. But
Like if somebody shows you their true colors, right? Like say they have a heart attack and then they have a stroke and they go through all this stuff and none of their family wants to help them. None of their kids wants to help them except one of them. And then that kid ends up getting taken advantage of because that person, never grew up, has the emotional stability of like a 13-year-old, but he's like 65,
mm-hmm.
Like that person will not change.
Right.
He refuses to be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and he always thinks he's right. So I just separate. I'm like, okay, well, fine.
Yes, but even in that situation, if you
Like he's deceptive when he needs help, and
yes.
then when he doesn't need help, he's mean and
yes.
takes
and if you keep
fostering
playing that over in your mind and feeling the anger, the irritation, the whatever emotions you feel about the being taken advantage of and about, all of those things that you're feeling, that is not doing anything to that person, but it's making you lower your energy and feel like crap.
Okay, I see
but
what you're
if
saying.
you can look at that person who lives life that way
Mm-hmm.
and say that person is making all their choices from the tools that they have in this moment. They may not know any better. They may not realize. They
Yeah.
may not have the same consciousness that you have in terms of how they view the world, their situation, themselves, what they feel like is owed to them, or what they have contributed, or whatever. So if you can view that situation as they are doing the best with the tools that they have, even though it's not the tools that you have, and even though it's not the way you wish to be treated, and it's not the way you wish to, move around in the world, it doesn't make them wrong. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them terrible. It makes them doing the best they can with the tools they have in this moment. And that piece of it can be your saving grace.
I was just about to get to that. Yeah.
For making you feel differently.
Absolutely.
Because if you keep staying in that mindset of,
this person wronged me,
right,
then I'm always going to want like my get back.
Yeah.
I'm always going to want my revenge.
And how is that helping you thrive?
It's not.
It's not.
And so the best
Sounds
thing
exhausting.
is to use that example of that person who never grew up, refused to change, somehow is still alive. And I just looked at that and said, well, I don't want to be like that.
Exactly.
I know the example. I don't want to aspire to. So that.
Yes, that's perfect. That's a perfect way to look at it.
So then I don't let it live rent free in my head. I just kind of let it go. But then there's other people being affected by it that I do care about.
Right.
So,
but you can't control how they manage it either, right? They have to have their own beliefs about it, and they have to use their tools that they have to get to a place that makes them feel better. Because again, anytime we sit in a place of blame, judgment, anger, victimization, it's not helping us. It's not helping us. That's kind of energy is draining us.
Yeah, it's just putting more of that into the universe.
And putting it out to the whole universe for them.
Your space-time.
Right. So, yes, it's fine to feel angry. It's fine to feel, really, really mad about something, and allow yourself to move through that. But then at the same time, how long are you going to stay there? Because the how long you're going to stay there is affecting your future.
A very wise man once told me, only let the things bother you for like a maximum of like 10 minutes, 2 to 10 minutes. And then you just let it wash away. You make a decision and you move forward.
Yeah. If you can have that consciousness within you to allow yourself to feel it, give yourself a time limit.
Yeah.
By the time you get through the time limit, make yourself feel about it or think about it in a different way so that it actually helps you. Maybe you can rationalize it. That's a little bit higher energy than, feeling angry and like you want to go beat them up. Different energy, right? So, but you can rationalize it. You can be like, oh, well, how could I help this person? I hear that by us doing things for the less fortunate, for volunteering, for, helping in those ways, that raises our own energy. So while it's doing good for someone else, it's also helping you. So you have to use your tools to get to a good place in your mind in those situations. And again, there's a variety of different things that this can relate to. It can be, a relationship with friends, with family, with whatever. It can be a work situation. It can be, that you go to work every day and there's just someone there that the energy just rubs you the wrong way.
Like, right.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
And so if you constantly focus on that every day, and on your way to work today, you start driving, you're in a good mood, you woke up fine, everything's going good, and the closer you get to work, your energy starts changing because that person's going to be there, and it's going to affect how you feel, and you just get irritated before you ever hit the front door, right?
Yeah.
So,
that's the wrong way to wake up.
Don't make that mistake.
Yeah. Don't do that.
That could be a mistake if you keep doing it over and over and over again. But if we don't allow it to be a mistake and we look at it going, oh, what can I learn from this? What can I take from this to help me thrive? How can I look at it in a different way? How can I help this person? Because, there's all kinds of things there that can help you in your toolbox. And then if you're putting out a different thing, maybe they'll absorb that instead of you absorbing their negativity.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know?
I I subscribe to all that now. Like I've given my soul to the universe to guide. I'm like, go ahead, do your thing. And it has been nothing but uh positivity and um opportunities, abundance of those. I mean, just things seem to like come to me more than I'm trying to reach out to them. Um so I think that's just a change in mindset and energy, because like energy attracts like energy.
Mm-hmm.
You get what you put out. So I think obviously we all work together at one point, but we don't anymore due to company stuff. But yeah, a couple years ago, if I lost my job, I'd be freaking out and making those mistakes about being anxious and letting that dictate my actions. And being anxious leads me to be irritable, and being irritable leads me to be mad, and then it just keeps going. So I changed my whole mindset and my whole philosophy to just, I'm just gonna accept whatever comes my way, and that's that's been the best thing. I don't see mistakes anymore. Actually, yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just tell myself, it's going to be okay. Just keep it simple.
manifesting.
Yeah, it's just going to be fine. It'll be all right.
Yeah, because if you think back in your life, usually when you've gone through things, we've all gone through changes in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Variety of different things. But when has it not worked out in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, that right there is. I think I heard you say that, and that shifted my thought process on things that I view as negative. Or actually, it's the thing where you're like, it's happening to for me, not to me. I hated that in the beginning, but
You're
it
welcome.
honestly, it's if I reframe it, it works better, and I make less mistakes. I just I feel more clear. I don't know how to explain it. It's like clairvoyance, if that's the word.
Clairvoyant is when you see things in your
Clearly.
third eye.
Oh yeah. So my third eye is probably working, and it never did in the past. So I'm letting it guide me.
That's interesting because I've heard that if you do things to increase your frequency, your vibration,
Yeah.
then your clairs, your psychic sensibilities tend to open.
I'm psychic.
I've heard you say that. You've given me examples.
I've correctly guessed the numbers in people's heads. I think that's psychic. I'd like to hone that skill so I can read minds.
Yeah, I think we all have the ability to increase our abilities. I think I've heard, I don't know if I 100% believe it, I would like to believe it, that things on our planet are changing. The frequency on the planet is changing. There's solar flares happening on the planet. Our Earth has never been the way it is right now because of frequencies and energetics and things that are coming onto the planet that haven't been here before. And so I keep hearing that is changing us. It is changing us physically. It is changing us in terms of our psychic abilities, and that at some point we're all going to be telepathic, where we can know and what each other's thinking and feeling each other's emotions and be super in tune to one another, which is ultimately, if you can imagine, anyone that you would come across, no matter where you were, you could feel what they were feeling wouldn't you be less likely to want to harm that person or to start an argument or whatever if you feel they're feeling the same thing you are?
Yeah.
Because, you said it earlier, we're all the same.
Yeah, I mean, we're literally made of the
We're
exact same stuff everything else is made of in the universe.
exactly. So if we're all the same and we all want the same things in life, then,
What's stopping us from...
maybe when we become more telepathic and we can all feel what each other are thinking and, our thoughts and whatever, maybe that's going to lead to this more peaceful world that we're all wanting. Everybody wants more peace in the world. We don't want wars going on. We don't want, all of that happening. We don't want to see innocent people losing their lives because a bomb was dropped in the middle of the neighborhood. None of us want to see that. And so, if you can be connected with another person's emotions in that way, you would be less likely to want to do something or say something that's going to ultimately harm them because you would realize that they are just like you.
Would you be able to turn it on and off?
I don't know. But won't that be interesting to find out?
I mean, I just feel like my own thoughts are enough. Having somebody else's thoughts too would be really intense.
Well, imagine the people that can communicate with spirits. And so they probably feel the same way in terms of, they could constantly be bombarded by other spiritual beings trying to communicate with them. So I think in that circumstance, they can for sure tune it on and off. So that, when they want to have their family time, they have their family time. Or, if they, are trying to sleep at night, they're not constantly being awoken by a spirit wanting to have a conversation with them.
I mean, you brought up a valid point, though. I think that, maybe telepathy might be way in the future. But communication, I think, is the key there as far as understanding what someone else is going through or what you're going through. I mean, communicating with yourself and just talking yourself through it. And it's been very helpful.
That could keep you from making mistakes.
And just remember that they are using the tools that they have at this moment.
Yeah.
And, being out of judgment of them for that.
So then, obviously don't want to judge them, but are they just constantly always making mistakes in their life, or are they just making accidents they refuse to learn from?
Well, if they're not mistakes and they're just doing the best they can with the tools they have, they're just living their life in the best way they can, even if it's not up to the standard that you would want them to act. And, maybe
because I would want to help that person, but maybe they're not ready to hear that.
Exactly. Right. Maybe they
I
don't know
gotcha.
any difference. Maybe they don't have any conceptualization or that anything could be different or better for them, and that this is the life that they came here to live.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that they came here to do. And this is the way they came here to handle these things. And they are living their true path.
Interesting. So they're going to be here another time. They're going to re-come to the earth.
I believe in reincarnation.
I know. That's
Do
why I said
you?
that. Well, I mean, because you say the whole soul contract thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I signed up to be here,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why I would sign up, but, I'm here. And yeah, I don't know. It's better, I guess, nowadays, but
I
I have learned a lot in this life, actually.
Yeah, and I feel like your whole mindset has changed a lot in this life, but you were open to it.
Not always,
You
but
weren't
lately.
kicking and screaming. You maybe you would hear things at first and say, "Oh, that's so dumb." Oh my God, that's just ridiculous.
That used to be my first reaction to a lot of things,
Right.
especially stuff like this. But
And
then when I put it into practice, my life is better.
It changed, right?
Yeah.
Even the little things.
Even the little things. Yeah.
Yes.
It's actually a pretty wild thing. And I would say I make less mistakes, and I'm framing mistakes as decisions made that would hurt me rather than benefit me. I just make decisions based on more sound, like a foundation of I don't know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
but
but well, just think about this. Any person who's ever invented anything
yeah.
did not invent it on the first try. So they made decisions and they made whatever that they may have considered mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then they took what happened in that and tried it in a different way. They applied their learning from that and applied it in a different way and kept going, right? To create what ultimately became the light bulb or the telephone or the cotton gin,
Which could have been from a dream.
which could
Yeah.
have been from a dream.
Yeah.
So, you may view it as a mistake when it's happening, right? But if you take the nugget, the jewel, the pearl,
What did I learn from this?
right, and move it into the next iteration of it, it's no longer can be viewed as a mistake. It was a learning opportunity. It was fueling your growth for the next best thing.
It's a good way to raise children.
Yeah, so that's the thing with our mindsets. If we can stop looking at these things, these experiences that we've had in life, the choices that we've made that may have hurt somebody else, as Wright said, and look at it as we're using the best tools that we can at the time, and then I'm taking that information and I'm moving on down the road with it. Now, what's the jewel? What's the nugget? What's the pearl that I took from that to make me not hurt someone the next time when I'm in a similar situation? That gives me a different word to say or a different action to take. There's a fine line about hurting people, because sometimes people get their feelings hurt based on something that you said. But if you are speaking your truth, you have zero control over how they react to what you said. You can't control. And they're viewing it from their own past experience, their own glasses that they viewed the world through. And so you have zero control over hurting their feelings, because if their feelings are hurt, it's usually based on some belief that they have about themselves, not about what you said. You might have triggered it. You triggered it. You triggered that old belief that they've got that says they're not good enough or that they don't matter or whatever it is. So ultimately, you don't have any control over how someone else responds or reacts to what, unless you, physically
Yeah, I was
punch
thinking
them.
there's definitely exceptions to that for sure.
Right. So, but again, you have to think about your tools that you have in that moment. You were using your best tools, and now that you look back on it, if you have some learning from that and you're not carrying it forward, then you just did what you were supposed to do, right? You grew in that through that experience.
Yeah. I like that. That one's tricky because I still feel like I make mistakes, but I'm trying to reframe it and go further and not judge other people for the standard I believe they should live to.
I mean, that's the challenge of it is, I think it's the feeling for me. Caught, I don't
You
really
feel
see it as
guilty
a
for upsetting somebody?
whatever it is, guilty
Right.
or, just sad or upset. But like Michelle said, I think now it's, what can I learn from it? Don't repeat it. And if I do, navigate it a different way.
It's on you.
Yeah.
If you repeat the same
Exactly.
happy accident.
But I mean, if you would have gotten this conversation in front of me, 8 years ago, I probably wouldn't be in this mind space.
Exactly. And that's fair, right? Because it's a journey. Life is a journey. We have to experience these things to evolve. And so, your experiences of that, and I'm going to just go right back to what he said about we signed up for this and it's, in our soul contract, which can be a whole episode in itself. I'm just going to say. So I'm just going to say this one little thing about it is that if we are creating our life plan, we're not going to create all fields of rainbows and roses. Well, there's no growth in that. So we are going to create situations for ourselves that are going to be hard, that are going to be challenging, that are going to cause pain, that are going to all of the stuff, because that's where the growth is. That's where the growth is, in the hard stuff, in the struggles. There's not growth in just being happy and joyful and, puppies and rainbows all the time.
Yeah. Because then you'd just be a weak person.
You just wouldn't have the, experience.
Yeah. I'm thinking of that quote where it's like hard times make good men, but then easy times make weak men or something. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you face your challenges, that's what strengthens you.
True.
That's what makes you a better person in the long run. If you learn from it. If you don't learn from it and you just keep repeating it, then
you just stay down there.
Yeah. And that may be your path. That just may be your path. And that's okay too. We're not going to judge it. Because if we judge it, we're just dragging down our energy. We're putting out more lower energy into the universe. So if we just allow people to be who they are, where they are, and just let it be what it is. Now, again, we don't have to keep surrounding ourselves by that person, which you said, you just separate yourself from them, which is perfectly fine because you have to care for yourself, right? So we just have to, look at the hard times as how can I learn and grow from this? Because that's ultimately going to make you feel better than sitting there ruminating about all these mistakes, I said in quotes, that you feel like you've made in life.
I love that.
Dylan, I accept you.
I don't accept you. I'm just kidding. I've
That
grown.
was a good one.
Should we pull a card?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Today I have a deck by Sonia Choquette. It is called Ask Your Guides. So let's just ask our guides what we need to know. What topic do we want to talk about?
Oh, the universe just threw those at you.
We got the healer guides. So what card number is this? Card number 5. Card number 5. And it's titled Loss. And then it says healer guides on it. Sorrow, depression, grief, regret. You may be entering or experiencing a period of loss, regret, disappointment, pain, and perhaps even grief. These feelings may have arisen from present painful circumstances, or they may be the result of a surfacing of unexpressed or unprocessed loss from the past. Whether caused by something in the past or present, your heart is ready to unburden your pain, and your soul is ready to grow from these experiences. Your healer guides are present to assist you in your healing through these difficult times. These soothing helpers assure you that your present pain will transform into learning, and this too shall pass. Your joy will return. Ask your healer guides to help lift your heart and turn your loss and pain over to their loving care. Trust their counsel as they urge you to call a grief counselor, seek a healing massage, or pick up a book that will assist you in your current situation. Their message: seek sources of help. And I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, our topic of mistakes and how we ruminate on it and we keep going over and over and over it, and we worry about how we've hurt someone else, or we worry about, or we focus on someone else not acting or responding in the way we want them to, that it's just harming us. It's just harming us. So if we can ask our guides to help heal this from us, then we can just experience joy. And again, it pointed out the learning. What did you learn from it?
That's kind of wild.
It is wild.
Yeah.
Fits right in with what our whole topic was
A
today.
lot of these things can be, if you're just open to different ways of thinking, I mean, like, you can change all this.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for today, and we will see you guys next time.
Till next time.
Sounds good. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We are truly grateful for each of you. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow us on whatever platform you are listening. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please consider leaving a review. If you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're alerted when new episodes are released. Please also leave comments. We would love to know what you think. You can also share this with someone that you think might enjoy our content. Any interaction with the channel truly helps it grow. You can also email us at michelle@fromfindtofab.com, and that's Michelle with 2 L's. Until next time, be fabulous. This podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We are not medical, legal, or financial professionals, so always consult a qualified expert before making any changes to your life.